Back with another episode of Keeping Current with Kansas City. It's late at night, and I am talking to Daniel Sperry again. How are you, Mr. Sperry?
I'm doing all right, Dad. Doing all right.
Was that my nice, calm, soothing voice?
Soothing. It's like late at night, right? So you're doing like it's this like ASMR. My name is Thad Bell. You're listening to 101.5, the current FM.
AC Current 2 and 0. How about that?
Here we go. It's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, I'll work on it. That's really not my strong suit. Voices. I've often said I have the face for radio, the voice for print, the writing ability of a photographer. So I'm a
You're well
quadruple
rounded, man.
non-threat there.
You're well rounded, Dad.
Yeah, at times. All right, man. Casey Current go to San Diego, get the win.
Hmm.
Wasn't always totally pretty, but 2 points, or I mean, 3 points on the road is pretty darn good.
Yeah. Anytime you could do that, take it, right? Uh, I think this is the league that you got to win. It's one of those. It's like MLS. You got to win your home games, draw your road games, and put yourself in a good position there. And if you can pick up a few wins on the road and not concede very many points at home, guess what? You're going to be in the playoffs and you're going to be pretty high in the standings. So, um, Current well on their way to kind of flexing their muscles a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a while since they've been in that good of a spot.
Yeah.
What again, I think I'm sure everybody who's listening to this podcast has already seen the game or heard the game. 2-1 win. Uh San Diego goes up early with Yakisman. Ah,
Jacobson.
yeah, that one. Scoring
Goodness.
the rebound and putting it in. Izzy Rodriguez getting a goal right before half. Uh,
Mhm.
Nice little deflection, but it goes in. She's in the right spot, puts it in. And then Lola Bonta,
From the spot.
money at the penalty spot.
Yeah.
The uh, the Current did not dominate any possession, did not dominate a lot of stats, but got the win. Just what overall do you feel like what stood out there for you, man?
Mostly the back line. I think, I'll say I'll get to another point on the attack in a little bit, but I just want to say first and foremost, the back line's improvement at getting bodies in front of shots. 80 Francis shot stopping was phenomenal all game. Very hard to fault her for the goal that was scored. She makes an incredible save in the first place on the header. She made an incredible double save later. Honestly, like the double save is insane, but honestly, to me, for her to get over to even save that header on the goal that San Diego gets is arguably one of the better saves across the league this entire week. But it gets lost in the fact that the rebound got put in. A very good, powerful finish from a tight angle. I mean, that's an impressive shot that Jacobson had there. So, I think for me, just looking at a game and a game where you don't dominate possession, right? I mean, I think they were less than 40%, correct?
Yeah, FBref has 66-34 on possession.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't, if I recall, I want to say FotMob had something similar here as I'm trying to pull it up real quick on my phone. But I think the biggest thing that when you don't yeah, 66-34 in that 17 shots against them, five on target. 80 makes four good saves there. I just look at the way that you can kind of go into a place and weather the storm from a team that is at home and is going to want to kind of dominate the ball,
And their home
and being able
opener.
to get a result in their home opener, right? There's a lot. That was a packed house. I actually have a friend that used to work with me here in KC that now lives down in San Diego, and they were sending me pictures from behind the goal. It's like, oh, this is so much fun. Not a soccer person at all, but she was there. And so it's like, okay, like that's cool, right? Packed house. They're jazzed. They just come off the big NWSL Shield or the Challenge Cup victory over Gotham on the road with a late winner. They get a goal up, and for to be able to battle back and be efficient with their chances in conversion. And honestly, they were efficient enough that I thought they had more clear cut chances to score goals than San Diego did. And they did so with only 34% of possession. To me, that's an impressive road victory this early on in the season and has so many positive signs of really good building blocks to go forward.
Yeah, the XG was 1.6 to 1.4. Probably zero point 0.8 of that was probably the penalty.
Yeah.
Usually penalties are around zero point 0.7, zero point 0.8, depending on which place is doing it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because you're expected to make those. And Low does typically make most of those. All right, so the back line stood out. I thought they did really well. Uh, Ellie Wheeler, I think they tried to attack her being the rookie. Uh, for the most part, I think she did good. I think she'll get better as she gets a little more experience at this level. The center backs were solid. Izzy, I think there's a reason we've always liked her at that spot.
Mm-hmm.
She played really well, got up the field, got in the attack, did some really smart play. I really didn't see anything I ever faulted with her. So just pretty, like you said, solid to really darn good of on the back line.
Yeah, and they fixed, they were a little leaky there towards the back end of um that game against Portland, obviously, right? Like you're looking at that and you said, okay, that's a little concerning. And to ask them after the game, and you ask them about like, all right, so how do you guys clean that up? And Lowe's talking about how they worked really hard on closing out games and kind of doing whatever they can, and when they have the lead to really um, close it out. And I thought, that the back line I thought showed really, really well for significant portion of that match against Portland, but it wasn't a complete game. This one,
No,
you got the complete game out of it, and that was the most impressive thing to me. Just wanted to run down a couple of stats here. Uh, 11 and so the only defensive stat that San Diego won was tackles won. They won 13 tackles versus 12 tackles at the current one. So kind of pretty close there. The interceptions, not particularly close. San Diego had one interception. The current had 11. The current had twice as many blocks, 8 blocks for 62 clearances to 11 for the current and 4 saves by the goalkeeper. Just some of the work that was done defensively. Obviously, San Diego was putting in a lot of pressure. One of my This is a weird thing. The whole game, as I was watching it, I kept seeing all these balls getting launched into the box toward Alex Morgan. I kept hearing Caroline Hairbloom say they love to do the little flick. They like to get it to somebody and flick on and flick on. And that's literally what I mean. It's the Casey Stoney offense. It's what they're doing.
yeah,
Is they're trying to get those balls in and get those flicks on and get the second thing. And the current were so well prepared for that last year. Honestly, if you look back at both games against San Diego, the current did really well against them. Won in San Diego last year towards the end of the season. And so they go and they get the win here in a similar fashion defensively, just being able to mop everything up. So, yeah, I just the defense as a whole played a very complete game, and I mean I was really impressed with Gabrielle Robinson. Again, Elizabeth Ball did a great job as well. But as you said, man, the whole back line, I think, as a whole, as a unit, they worked really well. And I also thought the midfield really didn't give as much of possession away in dangerous areas that they did in the first game
yeah.
against Portland when that little space between the lines got too stretched.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot to that. One is that they've got a game under their belt together.
Yeah,
Two is that it's on the road, so you're going to tend to play more compact and that and the first game against Portland. I think we can always look at that game and say there was this good spot or this spot where they could have been better and all that. But a lot to me, I'm going to throw that game out a lot, especially as we get a couple under games under their belts,
yeah,
because there was so much emotions with that game. It could have went either way. Just you know, uh, they scored a lot of goals. They went forward. There's lots of energy, but that can also create mistakes.
Mhm.
We said before that game that I thought that they would give up an easy goal at some point, and it wasn't really an easy goal, but they had such high quality players on Portland that they took those advantages. So I'm going to kind of throw that game out a little bit for future, but I do think the defense was better, like you said. Midfield was they did what they needed to do. They played compact. They limited the quality chances. Uh, Same midfield lineup as the first game. What'd you think of Claire?
I thought Claire did really well this week. Um, still you still see the same things from her, and that's the thing. Is like you didn't see. Obviously, you want to see eventual progression, of course, but for a young player, part of establishing yourself is consistency. And I thought she gave a really consistent performance. I thought positionally she was really good throughout the game, and I thought I felt like she really took like it almost felt like I wouldn't say she took over, but she really took ownership of her space on the field versus more so trying to looking like she's trying to figure it out. And I thought that was a really it's the progression of you're thinking less and you're just doing more because you've already experienced it. And that's the part that comes with young players, and you hope that that comes on quickly. And I think that's there. Obviously, I still think she can be a little bit better with the ball. Ball playing was still at times gave away possession a few too many times for my liking. But as you as and as Blanco has said all along, they know she's going to make some mistakes here and there, and they're going to have to learn to live with those because the upside of her learning from those is so high that it's worth it. And I think you see the trust in her already. You see her even taking a step forward from game one to game two in some small areas. It's a good sign for how things should hopefully continue to go with her because I think she's a really talented player,
Yep.
and I think she's showing it. She's showing that the head on her shoulders is equally as part of her talent as the actual like technical talent ability. I think that that the type of steps that I saw forward from her game this week are those that you want to see maybe be a trend like 5, 10 games down the road. And she's already making that adjustment in game two.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to see huge leaps from her because she's already started at a higher point than I thought we had any reason to expect for a player of that age, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So I think we're going to see a steady progression from her. Uh, I think, 2 years from now, we'll be talking about how, wow, she's went from this to there, but she started at such a high level. I'm not sure how we will describe this in the future.
yeah.
Rest of the midfield, Low, Vanessa. I think we got exactly what we expected from them. Vanessa did pretty good. Low does low, uh, buries the penalty, the forward line. We got to see Timois start, Bia and Spanstra.
Mhm.
Just we saw so much good out of Timois. I really think that they should have had a couple more goals with what she was able to do.
Yeah, I agree. And Vanessa Di Bernardo, I think, was part of that too. Vanessa probably herself could have had a goal and assist. Sheridan makes a really good save on one of her shots. She should have had an assist on that scoop pass over the top to Temoa, which was weighted perfectly. That the one where Temo rockets it off the bar, off the post on that little breakaway. I think Vanessa, a healthy Vanessa Di Bernardo, it's nice to see because I think you saw glimpses of what she could do last year at times, but really this year so far, it's just been like, oh, there is the quality player that I don't know she was ever healthy enough to show us last year,
No,
which is she's been fantastic underneath Bia. Um, Bia herself, like another step forward. You see her in the penalty kick. She picks up the ball on the wing. She's drawn defenders way out of place, and all of a sudden she drives through, beats a few, cuts inside, gets a trip, or gets the defender to bite, and goes and gets the. I mean, I say she earned the PK by creating a situation where you put the defender in a place where they have to challenge, and they're not going to get the ball, and they're going to get you, and you're going to get the penalty kick, or you're going to go on and you're going to pass it to someone for a tap in because they never make the challenge. That's what's going to like that. It's either a penalty kick or you're passing it for a wide open tap in at that point. And that's just kind of like it was cool to see that dribble run at you quality from her because I don't know if we totally got some of those moments purely in the first game. Um, a lot of kind of running behind and maybe look to combine here and there, hold up in the midfield, but that was like, give me the ball. I'm going to go at you with my ability on the ball. And that's just like, again, just shows me another well rounded side of Bia's game is that she can literally do everything in a way. She can hold up, she can drop deep, she can combine, she can play as the lead man and get in behind the back shoulder. She can dribble at you. It's good. Temwa, obviously, you said, I agree. I thought we saw a really good showing from Temwa. Should have had a goal or two. Um, she will get a goal or two yeah, at some point because the quality is obviously there. The pace is going to be there to get in behind. And then actually, personally, I thought Spanstra played a better game this week than she did last week too. So I overall I thought a job well done from the forward line. Um, I thought Alex Pfeiffer didn't look out of her depth as she came off the bench either in that game. So overall, man, I there's not a lot of negatives out of the game. Especially you go on the road to San Diego, there's not going to be a ton of negatives that you're going to talk about, right? And I think if you go on the road and get the win there, so they did, and just a really well-rounded, gritty performance in San Diego.
A completely unnecessary stat, but Claire Hutton got a yellow in the 24th minute, and Claire Lavoisier got a yellow in the 90th plus 9 minute. So the two Claires got yellows.
That's fun.
I just, it's stupid stat that doesn't really mean anything, but just a little
Hey,
point of notice.
and I don't. Speaking of stats that I will say aren't stupid, uh, the because Jeff, you said thanked me for including it in my article, but also is not a stupid stat, and so I don't want him to hear this and be like, "Why'd you call my stat stupid?" Uh, 7 goals for the current, 7 different goal scorers.
Yep.
That's the league record for first 2 games of most goal scorers and most different involved goal scorers. So really impressive from the current. They're getting contributions from everywhere, which is something that didn't happen last year. It was Dabinia or bust, and this year it's nice to see that they are getting contributions from everywhere.
What will remain to be seen, though, is when Dabinia comes back and is healthy, will they still be Dabinia heavy, or will they still be as diverse in the attack as they have been since Dabinia went down injured?
That's a great question, and I do think Dabinia will end up eating up a few more goals here.
Oh yeah.
But I also think, like you saw with Dabinia on the field, it wasn't even when Dabinia was on the field in that first half. It wasn't the Dabinia show. It was still there was still a true method to the way that they played, how they built out in certain points, and got the ball rolling. And I think yes, her and Bia's like relationship will create a lot of stuff between the two of them, but they were really diverse in the attack. Vanessa obviously gets the goal, but she was jump starting a whole bunch of stuff. Alexa was on the ball a lot early on the left hand side in that game. Uh, you got Ellie Wheeler getting up and mopping up a rebound goal in there. I think there is enough of a system in place that I think a coaching staff who has had to in the past work with so many different talents and dare I say egos all on one team and
Yep.
had to find a way to put them together. I think at the club level, he can come up with a plan to manage so much talent in a way that can do something together and you can drag and drop and you might get obviously you get a different quality when you put on Dabinia instead of Alexis Spanstra or something like that. But can the system still hold up? And I think through 2 games, the answer is yes.
Definitely yes so far. And another uh another bright spot to this is there were 7 players on the injury report out, and
That's the good thing.
not the good thing. The good thing is that we didn't have to go, oh, who can we replace that player with?
Yeah,
Mace was out at left back. Izzy comes in, who honestly I preferred as a starter there myself anyway. But you don't have Michelle Cooper, you don't have Nichelle Prince. Uh, Dabinia's out. I mean, we know a couple of season-ending injuries that are still out for a long period of time, but it was okay. They just plugged and played another person in and changed the tactics slight bit and went forward and
yeah,
got results.
yeah. And the thing is that the way the injury list really is, and looking at the way the returns are, those players are coming back sooner rather than later, like majority of them.
Yep.
So I think at least I can almost for certain say I'd expect Michelle Prince, Michelle Cooper, and Desi Scott to have returned by the next game following She Believes Cup. Almost with certainty. I feel like that's really the safe bet. That those three for sure should be back in the mix. The question is Dabinia and Hannah Glass, I think are maybe the two that are a little bit longer, just because one, Hannah Glass hasn't played in a year. That's going to be very different. And two, and plus if you have to activate her as well as Desi, then you got to clear a roster spot to activate
Yep.
Hannah Glass. And then Dabinia, her injury is so recent, or if it happens to be on the 6 week side of like a 4 to 6 week time range for a hamstring strain or pull or something like that, then you're looking at, you know, still a few weeks after the international, the Shiva League Cup. But um,
The last thing we'd heard was after the international break for Dabinia, but that could be sooner or later. So we'll see.
June could be after the international break,
Well,
but
freaking October could be after the international break, but
correct.
yes,
Yes, we're not. If she
there's
had
no
outright
reason to
torn her
push her
hamstring,
back.
no. If she had outright
And
torn her hamstring, we would have been told that.
what's that?
I said if she had outright torn her hamstring, we'd probably have been told that.
Maybe
Maybe.
we'll hopefully
We'd hope
find out
so.
more
That's
this.
that's wishful thinking.
Yes, hopefully we'll find out more this week. All
Yes.
right. Any other last thoughts about that game?
No, other than just maybe okay, let this was a comment that I think caught a little bit too much flair on the internet was Lowe's comment about Vlaco uh telling them to go in, get the win, be humble, and get out.
Yes.
And when asked about the celebration, and uh, the very anti-Vlaco swath of the internet got very up in arms about how dare he go steal it, the joy from these players, just like he did the national team. Um, One, I don't know how long you've been paying attention to the women's national team, but the women's national team is joyous when they win, and that's it. If they don't, then it's not joyous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, regardless. Two, I think there's something to be said for like it's not like she didn't celebrate. It's not like she hugged some people and gave a high five and picked up the ball and walked it back to the halfway line and set it down and said, "All right, let's run it again." Like she blew kisses, she blew her kisses,
Yeah.
she
It
showed
just
some love.
it,
She
it
had a
just
little bit
wasn't
of
a
something.
fancy Sally.
No, and like this is here's a dumb comparison. The Super League, right? This whole thing, if you're not familiar with it, men's game, they made tons of references to it in Ted Lasso. I swear you've at least paid attention to the men's game, or you've at least watched season 3 of Ted Lasso to know what I'm talking about. The idea of this whole Super League thing is that they want the best teams to play each other all the time. But the problem is because they say, oh, we want that Liverpool versus Real Madrid matchup at Anfield that always is so cool when it happens. But if you want to try and create that all the time, it's going to lose its special
Right.
feeling. It's going to lose that awesomeness. So one, to put pressure on them to have the some crazy celebration every single time is one thing. Uh, is a penalty kick a moment to like celebrate heavily like that? Yes and no. I mean, if you scored a banger from like 30 yards, sure, by all means, do whatever the heck you want. Um,
Also, it might make a difference if it was in the 94th minute of that penalty kick. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I think so I think I'm not saying one that they should just tone it back because I love the celebrations. I think they're fun. They get people talking, they get people's eyes on the game. Um, Two, there can also be a level of humility that you walk around with. And when you go on the road to one of the best teams, you go in, it's business. You go in, get your job done, and get out, get home. And I think that there's something to be said for that serious mindset that still embraces the fun and the flair with the kisses and all that kind of fun stuff, the blowing kisses. But at the same time, there's something to be said for that level of, all right, we did our job. We still got a job to do, and let's get moving.
Yeah, I mean, there's a definitely a very you can have a very workmanlike, serious attitude towards going towards this stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having some celebrations in there, but I do really think it was so overblown in that because I'm the one that asked if she did a celly because the way the broadcast cut, I couldn't tell if she did one. So I asked, and she said, well, Flacco wanted us to be humble, and I wasn't sure if that was the right thing to do at the time of doing. And all she was talking about was doing a specific celly type of celebration, like the rowing or the golfing or the dancing or something. But it wasn't like like you said, it wasn't like she didn't celebrate. It wasn't like Vlaco said, "You can have no joy." That was a bunch of people overblowing something that was never meant that way, and it's just frustrating. Uh,
As we get off our soapbox, just know that nobody through I like as you are around this team in any way, shape, or form, there's been absolutely zero sense of the idea of joy being knocked out of this team in any way, shape, or form. And I'd argue I've seen Vlaco show more happiness and joy in the last 3, 4 weeks than I have seen him in any of the times I ever saw him with the Nationals. This is like but everybody, the vibes out here are very high right now. And like the idea that, oh, he wants him to be serious and knock the joy out of it is like this just absolutely left field thought process.
it's just misreading what the reality is all it is. And yes, people
And
will hate on Blanco.
it's also seeing clips of things without hearing or seeing the full soundbite for full context too.
Well, just seeing the written quote, not hearing it, is
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
Yep.
All right, I'm glad you brought that up. I was intending to, so good point. Appreciate it. One more thing that we were going to at least bring up. It's always like current, just because of being such a new team and new stadium and all this stuff. There's always like little pieces of news coming out, but one of the big ones was the Women's Cup. Is that what it's called?
Sure.
That came out today.
I don't know. There's some, yes, the Women's Cup is what it is.
I was
The
thinking it was,
Women's Cup.
but I count on you to like correct me because I'm, not always.
Yeah. Who cares about that? All we know is that the Women's Cup is going to be in Kansas City from August 14th to August 17th, for some sort of like international style tournament. Nobody knows what exact days or what exact teams are going to be here. It's going to be in Louisville. It's going to be in Kansas City. Um, yeah, congrats. So more international soccer coming to Kansas City in August. I still I have no clue what teams are going to be there, and whether or not like to do this at the same time or kind of on the back end of the other tournament is kind of crazy in my opinion. But hey, I don't make the schedules.
No, we do not. And sometimes we have no clue what's actually going on until it happens.
Correct. So when we have more information, we will share it.
On the positive side, there will be more soccer
Mhm.
in Kansas City. The negative side is we're trying to keep up as it is now, much less adding more.
Makes life hard.
Though, I dreamed of a day I would be like worried about a soccer game like almost, all the time. So eh,
Yeah.
honestly, it can be exhausting at times, but I still like the fact that there's more soccer. So be it
Yep.
a tournament that I've never heard of before, or a Nations Cup league, or Open Cup, or whatever. I'm all for it right
Challenge
now.
Cup.
I like the Challenge Cup.
I liked it too. Although I would have liked to see more different divisions instead of regionalized, so we can see Houston like 7 times a year. Ugh.
Yeah, it should have been more of a draw thing or something. Or, but again, save money. All
Yep.
right. Any other subjects we need to bring up real quick before we go?
Do we need to chat about the next game?
We could do that. Angel City Saturday, 2:30, I believe.
Yes, 2:30 kickoff at
And
CPKC Stadium.
now you're getting professional.
Mhm.
It's a talent laden, talent lo talent laden team.
Mhm.
Uh, not gotten the results that they would want so far this year. What do you expect
Yeah.
from them?
I expect a very interesting game. Angel City causes a few problems. It will be interesting. Freya Coombe, of course, the lead assistant for your Kansas City Current, has plenty of history with Angel City and a lot of these players as well. So I'm curious to see what they look like. They lose the first game to Bay FC, a game they absolutely probably should have won based on some of the changes that they created. Bay FC's goalkeeper and back line was phenomenal in that match, and then they get a draw in the next game. So I get against Orlando, and I personally rate Orlando very much this year. They also a team who hasn't quite gotten the results that maybe they should deserve, but I think that this is an Angel City team that despite the fact that they don't have a win yet this season, they're a really dangerous team. Their back line, Sarah Gordon, is incredibly fast and is a very good center back and will um, have some work against Tem Wachawinga to put in, and the rest of the way the current play. Angel City, the whole time since they have been in the league, have kind of been a tough matchup for the current. So, I'm interested to see what happens out there. Alyssa Thompson, Kennedy Fuller. When we watch Alex Pfeiffer a lot in the U17 CONCACAF Championship, Kennedy Fuller stood out immensely to all of us and is now on Angel City. She'll probably be out there and playing against Claire Hutton, which is kind of fun. So check out that midfield battle. But yeah, this is a good Angel City team, and I think this game is going to be a pretty fun one.
Yeah, Kennedy Fuller is definitely one of those U18 players that I would have loved for the current to sign, but that obviously wasn't going to happen because she was already with Angel City.
Yep. Yeah.
I I do love the youth movement though, because there's a lot of good
Yeah.
players and they're earning their time.
Yep, a lot of good young players around the league that are getting the shot that they deserve. But yeah, don't be fooled by Angel City's results so far. This has the makings of like either the most exciting 0-0 draw you've ever seen in your life, or the most like confusing and chaotic 2-2 draw. Like that's how I feel about the way the current and Angel City play against each other.
Yeah, and again, Angel City is definitely better than their record. Definitely a lot of players that are quality. Just got to see how the results go.
Yep.
All right, man. Before we run out of time, I appreciate you joining. I did a segment with a fan, Julie Tarasi, member of the Blue Crew. Met her through some friends, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put her segment before this one or after this one. I will decide when I go to see how long these are. But thanks, Julie, for joining. Thank you, Daniel, for joining. And we are out. Back with another episode of Keeping Current with Kansas City. You normally hear me with Daniel Sperry or some other people. I have a very special guest today, a friend of a friends of friends, but a lot in common. Julie Tarasi.
Yeah,
I
that's me.
yes, member of the Blue Crew,
Mhm.
huge soccer fan all around, but especially of the Current, wearing a teal shirt right now.
Yep.
How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. I'm on spring break, so it's been a fun week so far.
Oh, we could have done this earlier today. Dang. Uh,
Sorry.
No, that's okay. My daughter was on spring break, so we went to have tacos, like a it's
Oh,
old, Taco Tuesday tradition with dad, but we
for
let
sure.
mom come this time.
Well, how nice of you to include her.
I know, I know. All right. So long story, not that this is really necessary, but I met Julie through friends of my wife's from her high school days. But and anyway, she we had pizza together and she grilled me for about an hour.
Yes, you very
And
graciously sat and answered all my questions.
I was extremely happy because with that group, I usually don't get to talk a lot of soccer. It's
Mhm.
usually, oh, how's that soccer stuff going? I go, oh, good. They go, okay, cool. And then,
Yeah,
talk about some other teams in town. And I'm like, okay, fine. That's okay.
sure.
But you were there. Your fiance was there. We got to talk a lot of
Hmm.
soccer.
Hmm.
And so I was really happy about that.
Yeah.
How excited you were at the home opener.
Yes, we were there. My mom, my little brother, and then Jacob was there.
How cool.
Oh my gosh, I cried. Like I'll be that I'll be that cliche person. I cried. Um I think more than once, maybe even two. I think like as we entered the stadium, because it just was all it was real. It was there. Um, and then during the anthem and the flyover, just like all the feels were just there. And it was such a great atmosphere. It was really overall a smooth day. Um, and so it, like speechless is the best way to describe it, I think. Like my girls were playing on ABC. Um, and it was just amazing to be there.
They were just playing. They were kicking ass for the first half.
Well, yeah, that too. That too. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was and because I think you were sitting on the southeast corner-ish, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So you got a lot of goals pretty much right in front of you.
Yes. Yes. And we were in the very last row, which it's a hike, let me tell you. Like it doesn't look like a lot of stairs until you're climbing them. And it was really windy up there. I don't know how it felt down on the field, but it was really windy up there. Um, but it felt so close. We have always sat in the supporters section at Children's Mercy, and so we always were right there. And I just was like, I was like, I just need to be in the stadium. I don't care where my seats are. I just want to be in the stadium for the home opener. And it still felt close. It still felt like we had a really good view. It didn't feel like we were so far away that we couldn't see what was going on. But yeah, all those goals it was really fun.
Yeah, that stadium is it is built very tight, very small, very compact, which is good in a lot of ways, not so good in some others.
Mhm.
I've joked, which is not a joke, as I could literally while I'm shooting the game, I could steal nachos off the person's plate behind me.
Well, maybe sometime I'll be back there and I'll just have a plate of nachos for you so you don't
Okay,
even have to steal.
we could just share.
Yes.
But there was a play. It was like an early play. Dabinia came in and she ended up jumping over the defender,
Mhm.
and somebody behind me goes, "I hope you got that." So I actually pulled the camera away from me and I started scrolling through, and they go, "Oh, you did," because they could see my camera that
Wow.
well.
Jeez. Wow. But it's neat, you know? I mean, like I like being that close and I like feeling like I'm still in the action. That was one of my concerns was just how the vibe of the games were going to change. Um, and it's only one game at this point. So, um, but it just, even being in the very last row, it still felt like I was very close to the action and the atmosphere was still there.
So I know before the home opener, there was all these concerns about parking and just a lot of different things that kind of got all forgotten, and it was mostly good, mostly
Mhm.
okay. I mean, there's probably some stuff that wasn't, but overall, I think it was pretty good, and that just kind of got forgotten, didn't it?
Yeah, I was really prepared for a very chaotic day. Um, Part of that is my own fault because we went to the home opener, and then we also went to the Big 12 game that was that evening. So it was a very busy day for us in Kansas City sports, but um, we we planned for a long walk, and we dealt with it, but everything was really smooth. I was really expecting to have to stand in line for like half hour, 45 minutes. And security was really smooth. Even like ordering food was a really smooth process using the app. Um, and so nothing's ever going to be perfect. Even things at Arrowhead aren't perfect. Even things at Children's Mercy aren't perfect. And so, for the fact that it was the very first game, I feel like overall how it went, it was really good. Um, you know, we talked about, just I was really nervous kind of how the 3 weeks leading up to the home opener kind of went, just kind of communication wise. But everything came together. And I think that that has a lot to say on the fans and the preparation that they did, the mindset that they came in with of this isn't going to be perfect, but look at where we are. And just kind of having their realistic expectations, I think was really beneficial too.
And I think that's a really good point, because I tend to look at it from one way, and oh, they should have done this or should have done that, and I went into it expecting a ton of issues and was really pleasantly, ha- you know, pleased that there was a small amount of issues. There were issues, but it was really not that big. But I think a lot of it was, like you said, the fans like, okay, hey, we're gonna have to put up with a few things, but this is our place, and we're gonna make the best of it, right?
Mhm. Yeah. And I think definitely the our place thing, like we're not tenants somewhere. We are the tenant. We are it. Um and so just having that ability to be celebrated and claim things as our own, um, it I think it just allows a little bit of an extra room for grace and forgiveness and understanding.
Oh, definitely.
Mhm.
We'll see if that grace is still there, next year, but I
Yeah.
think it'll go for a while.
Exactly. I'm hopeful it does.
So I know you said you cried a couple times walking in when
Yeah.
the flyover, the players walking out. But
Mhm.
what was maybe your favorite bestest memory that like 10 years from now you're gonna tell, some young relative of yours, go, I was there and this happened.
Bestest memory.
Yeah, I'm going for the good grammar here.
Yeah. um I think the first goal, DiBernardo's goal, um, was just unexpected, I think, on so many different aspects. That she was kind of it. Pleasantly surprised, pleasantly unexpected. But and just the explosion. It felt like everybody was kind of holding their breath, waiting for who's going to score the first goal. When is the first goal going to be scored? Is it going to be the current scoring the goal? I think especially just with how last season kind of went, I think there was just a lot of uncertainty. And so I think kind of just the elation, jubilation, um, relief to an extent as well. I just remember, I'll never forget, like all the people around us were like became our best friends. And that happens at every sporting match to an extent, but it just felt different. Um, I think just because we were all celebrating so much more than just a soccer match. But jumping up and down, high-fiving everybody around us. But yeah, I think the first goal.
Cool. That was
Mhm,
pretty special. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be Vanessa either,
mhm.
but
Yeah,
I was really happy for her because she's a
yeah.
really, really sweet person. I have a
Mhm.
podcast I did with her last week. You should listen to it.
Okay.
It's not very long. Anyway,
Yeah.
the it was really exciting. Who? Because I know we talked a lot of soccer the other day and about players. Which players really stood out to you this time?
Um, that's I feel like there's so many new players, and we'd kind of talked on that a little bit that, I'm still learning them. I'm still, you know, figuring them all out. You know, I have, I have my favorite players. We all have our favorite players. So like,
Oh
of
yeah.
course, um, I'm an 80 Franch fan. I'm a Haley Mace fan. Like those are my people. Not that I don't love everybody else, but for whatever reason, those are just who I'm drawn to. Um, but that's so hard. I think Bia. I think she's just I just think she's coming out, and um, I think she's just coming out. She's coming out strong, consistent. Um, you know, looking back on the last game, on was that Saturday night's game, um, Temois is really memorable.
Oh yeah.
I'm still thinking of that goalpost and hoping that it's recovering okay. Uh, you know, and so I think just the tenacity that, um, kind of our front line or so is showing, is really memorable. They're just willing to take the shot and see what happens.
Yeah, it's they're definitely going for it. It's just been fun to watch.
Hmm.
I know in San Diego they gave up possession a lot, but that's just the way away games go sometimes. But they made the most of their opportunities, got a little bit lucky with
Hmm.
Izzy's goal,
Hmm.
but then just kept playing. And I was you would have been pretty much satisfied probably with a draw, but
Hmm.
Lowe buried the penalty and come back
Yeah.
with total of another 3 points, so they're in at the top with six.
Yeah, it's just crazy to look at the table and then compare it to what it was last October.
I know I saw somebody say just flip it, and that's exactly what it was last year at the end of the year, and it's not
Right.
very far off.
No, no. So,
In
yeah,
fact, I'm gonna go look at that now just to see.
compare it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then young players, Claire Hutton,
Mm-hmm.
played the full 90 in both games, did really pretty well most of the time.
Hmm.
Still a little young and learning, and then a 16-year-old goes and scores a goal.
Gosh, I know. I know. That was so fun. And it's it's humbling, as an adult. It's very humbling. But it's so exciting, because that is the future.
Yep.
Um, and it just excites me for her. It excites me for the sport, excites me for the team, for sure.
Yeah, and just I think it's on the men's side we've had academies and that for a long time, and the women's side it's not been as organized or
Hmm.
defined, and I
Developed,
think
yeah,
that's
for
going to be
sure.
coming.
Hmm.
Uh, I was really impressed with Pfeiffer and how she handled it, and being a 16-year-old. And yes, I had to taunt my daughter who's 19 and say, "You're now over the hill."
That's so kind of you. Yeah. I loved her celebration. Like that's that look of focus and determination that she had. I was like, honey, you can celebrate. Like you can smile. You can be happy for, you know, the 10 seconds after you score your goal.
Yep.
And I think that just speaks to who she is as a competitor. That she's like, yay, I need to celebrate. Yes, this is something huge, but like I want to keep playing soccer, and it just was interesting watching that.
I don't think this will be the last goal we see from her this year.
I hope not. I mean, we've had 7 different goal scorers, so
Yeah, there's got to
eventually
be repeats
somebody's
at some
gotta
point.
repeat,
Yeah,
right? I hope.
it would be a sad season if they nobody
Oh my
repeated.
gosh. Yikes. I mean, I'm here for like an 80 French goal. Let's do it. Why not?
In the preseason availability, we were kind of asking everybody who they thought was going to be the first goal scorer, and most everybody said Dabinia, and
Sure.
then we started saying, okay, you gotta give us two others if you say Dabinia, but anyway, at one point, 80's like, because I was kind of saying I thought it'd be a defender, right, and
Mhm.
I got the second goal, so I'm okay with that. Um, but AD was like, "What? Don't think I can do it?" I'm like, well, I know you can do it. You're just usually not in the spot for it. And she's like, so she gave me a couple minutes of crap for not picking her. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So
Okay.
I'm kind
So
of
when it
hoping she gets
happens
one.
this season, let's do it. Okay.
Yeah, if she gets one, I hope I'm there, and I will go back and say, okay, you told me you're going to, so we're good.
Right. Right.
All right. So I mean, we got your favorite memory out of there and how it felt walking in. Just I guess from your perspective, it changes the game for soccer, for women's soccer, for women's sports. I mean, I can have a perspective on that, but what's your thought?
Um, yeah. So like my mom was a high school athlete, high school competitor. I did more of the dance stuff. I played like middle school basketball, um, but I was much more coordinated on on the stage than I was on the basketball court. Um, but just for my nieces, and the students that I teach, just the opportunities that they can can have, but the goals that they can set, the goals that they can dream. Um, I don't think even growing up when I was, young and thinking about what I wanted to be when I grew up, I don't think playing professional soccer was quite an even like realistic goal for me, or really anybody that like I grew up with. It was kind of college, and that was kind of where it stopped.
Yep.
And so it's just it's just allow it's just like raising the sky that much more, raising the limit of where you can hope to be. And it's just really exciting for the future. I'm definitely not kind of, I'm definitely past the point where I could like dream of that, and hope for that, but I can support it in the ways that I am able to, because I believe in it and I think it's important. And um, just all the opportunities for, like I said, my nieces. Um, so yeah.
And I hope it continues across pretty much the rest of the sports that
Yes.
is there or will be someday.
hmm Yeah. I mean, like, I think, Caitlin Clark, I grew up in Iowa. I grew up in central Iowa. And so, there's a fondness there in my heart.
Yep.
But, Audie Cook and stuff, just showing that it's possible, I think is one of the biggest things, um, for people, just to be like, okay, this can be your reality if you want it to be.
I think it just continues to grow. That's my daughter was pretty lucky because when she was growing up, FCKC came here. The NWSL started,
Mhm.
and she got to go to a lot of games with me or as a fan, or she got to go with me to practices sometimes and watch them do stuff. So she got that concept that it was feasible. It didn't end up being her path,
Mhm.
but I think knowing that that path was there also helps her do this other stuff that she's really good at. She's really good at music and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and she's an amazing young woman. Even if I do taunt her every once in a while, but that's a dad's
Of
prerogative.
course.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I love that she has those experiences. She would go with me to see sporting and do that stuff, and she would go with me to see FC Casey play and
Mhm.
that stuff. So it was just equal. I mean,
Mhm.
not quite equal, but she knew that it was there and continuing to get better.
She has the opportunity to say no to it, or the
Yep.
opportunity to say not right now. And that's huge.
Are you going to be there this weekend?
Yes. Yep. We have tickets in the supporter stand.
Okay. I will probably be there. Well, I will. I
Okay.
plan on being there.
Okay.
So I was just say you can come down and bring me a nacho or whatever. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. But come down and say hi if you can. I did
For
look
sure.
for you last game, but I did not
Sure.
find you. But I took
I
a
was the one
picture
in
up there.
teal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
you were
was
the
the
only
one in
one in
teal.
teal. Yeah.
hmm
So now I know where you were. I will go back and look at the photos and see if I can find you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it should be another fun match. I mean, just
Mhm.
2-0, 2 wins. Uh, just do you think they can keep it up?
I mean, I don't see why not. Knocking on all the wood. I don't see why they can't. They're definitely capable of it. I think ACFC kind of has a lot going on in their front office right now, and so I don't know how that's going to translate to on the field. I hope it doesn't, for the sake of the players, but you know, um, but so I definitely think we can. Um, I think fans who maybe are new, maybe like need to set realistic expectations for what the season will look like, what a typical soccer season looks like. Um, I just don't want them to go in with these sky high 5 goal expectations, because I don't know that I've ever been to a game. Maybe that Current scored 6 goals one time last year, didn't they? In like a Challenge Cup game, maybe?
Yeah, I want
Okay.
to say, yeah,
Yeah. They all run together. But
yeah. I've seen thousands of games now, so it's like people who
sure.
can go, oh, on this day on that game. I'm like, you're amazing, cool.
Yeah.
That's why I have Google and the internet.
Right. But it's just, so I think that's something that people maybe need to be kind of just aware of. Um, I mean, I'm hoping for another 5 goal game, but um yeah, I think they can keep it up, definitely, so long as we, again, knock on all the wood, continue to stay healthy. Um,
And get
I'm
healthier.
excited. Yes, get healthier for sure. Um, and just stay focused on the goal. And, I'm excited to see what Vlatko continues to do. I'm very pleased. I know we both kind of talked about how we are Vlatko supporters. And So I'm hopeful that it continues to go in the correct direction for him.
Yeah, and I do think it will. I think he's a really good coach and
Hmm.
has gotten a little unfair bad rap from some previous jobs, but that's
Sure,
okay.
sure.
He's a big guy and he can, live through it and do some
Yeah,
good stuff. So
yeah,
uh, I have faith in him.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just so looking forward to, seeing how a lot of these players fit together because we haven't seen Michelle Cooper out there or
Hmm.
Nichelle Prince out there.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
Dabinia got hurt 30 minutes into the first game, and we won't see her till after this next international break,
Hmm.
not the Olympic one.
I was like, wait a minute.
So there's a lot of those
Hmm.
players that we won't see for at least a couple, 3 more weeks, but
Hmm.
can get in there and do some great things. But I'm just so also very pleased with the young players.
Hmm.
How Spencer ended last year. I don't think she started this year as well as she ended last year.
Sure.
But it was kind of funny in the first game. Some of the fans behind me automatically assumed that was Hamilton. So they're like, go Hammy," and I'm like, I thought that was a pretty good compliment to Spanster that
Yeah,
they could mistake her for Hamilton. So
for sure. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm excited for these young players to continue to develop, and what a great learning opportunity for them too, to be able to play next to Dabinia and Hammy, and um, just what a great
yeah,
opportunity to learn from them and develop from them and develop their own game too. Like they got here, through their own hard work too.
and to make a name for themselves in this place at this time of this part of history.
Hmm.
I don't know if I
Yeah,
said that right, but you know what I mean.
yeah. To have on your resume, opened the first purpose-built stadium for women's soccer in the world. Yeah, that's a pretty good
Yeah,
resume
and scored a
bullet
goal in that,
point.
that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Any ideas for anything the Blue Crew's doing? I mean, I know you're not like the official spokesperson, but
I'm not. I think they're just, trying to continue to um, get the whole stadium involved in chants and stuff like that. I know that the current have done a lot in terms of providing the chants via the app, um, and those types of things. Um, but I know that the Blue Crew is working to purchase new equipment for surface tension, the drum line. So they've got big dreams, they've got big hopes. So yeah.
awesome. I look forward to it, and because I will be in front of them a lot this year. From, 'cause
Yes.
I'm restricted in where we can shoot from, so
Right. Yeah. I heard about that.
a
So
little silly. But anyway,
yeah.
we will work on that also.
Hmm.
All right. Well, Julie, I appreciate you coming on today, and we will have you come back and talk some more soccer. I don't know when, but sometime
Sure.
in the near future.
Yeah. That sounds
Uh,
good.
any last words? Anything prophetic?
KC baby.
And we are out for this segment, and we will be back with another segment, or maybe the other segment was before this. I don't know which yet, but we are out.